Sup? Hello everyone, what is going on, and welcome back to the Bit of Footy YouTube channel. Today we begin our 2025 AFL tips journey. Yes, we're redoing footy tips this year, and yes, I do have a competition. If you want to join the competition, link in the description below. But yeah, tips, they're going to be bloody hard this season. I mean, besides a few teams, mainly Richmond, West Coast, North Melbourne. But yeah, there could be a few upsets here and there, so it's going to be a fun ride. And like I said before, I've got a competition. If you want to join this ride, link in the description below to join my competition. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into my tips for round one of the 2025 AFL season. Let's begin. We're going so rogue, I'm actually holding my microphone so I can move around like jiggle jiggle and my microphone can come with me. It looks a bit silly in my hands, doesn't it? Thank you. Alright, let's begin. Round number one with the traditional, the classic. Everyone knows this clash. It's the Thursday night footy clash between Richmond and Carlton. Richmond coming into this season, they're rebuilding. They've got a lot of new players, a lot of new draft picks that they're going to blood. Carlton, you know, they've got a few new players. They've got some experienced heads, and they're probably going to do quietly well this season, or not quietly well, but they're probably going to do pretty well this season. So I'm going to be tipping Carlton in this game. I feel like whenever it's a game that has Richmond involved, I may be going against them unless the other team has like so many players injured that Richmond may have a chance. But I don't think Carlton are going to lose to Richmond. I think Carlton are going to win by a little bit of a hefty amount. I'm going to go Carlton in this one by a margin of 32 points over the Tigers. I think the Tigers will try to keep it competitive, but I think it will be relatively hard for them. So I'm going to go 32 points, but I wouldn't be shocked if the margin was bigger than that. It's the Blues for me over the Tigers in the first game of round number one. Next up, we move on to the Friday night clash between the Hawks and the Bombers. Yes, Hawthorn are playing Friday night football this year. They've already played one Friday night game. We're going again with the Hawkers on Friday night football. They played that good of footy last season that they're gonna get a lot of Friday night games this season, and this is another of them against their rivals in the Bombers. Should be an interesting clash. You know, the Bombers, they did have a pretty good preseason. They beat the Bulldogs, they beat the Cats, so they're looking a little bit exciting coming into this season. They've got some new players. They've got Keiko in there, and they've got some, you know, players that have been there before. The Hawks, though, they looked very well on Friday night against the Swans in opening round. They played some of their exciting footy. They actually got the job done by a margin of 20 points. Yes, the Swans had some injuries here and there, but the Swans definitely challenged the Hawks, so it was good to see that the Hawks, you know, have matured, have grown into a good state where they can control games when teams are coming back, because we saw what happened in a few games last season, especially against Port Adelaide. So it's good to see that they've matured from that they can compose themselves, control the game, and hit the scoreboard when need be, and get the finishing touches to a game. I'm going to go the Hawks in this one. I do think it's going to be relatively close. Like I said before, the Bombers, they did have a decent preseason, so they're looking exciting coming into this season, and I'm sure their fans will be a little bit excited about how they went in preseason, especially that win over Geelong. But again, that was a preseason game, so how much do you take out of that into the actual season? We'll see how that goes, but I still feel like the Hawks, they're an exciting team. They've just, you know, continued on from last season, or the second half of last season. They're playing some good footy. They've beaten the Swans already. I'm going the Hawks over the Bombers in this one. Next up, we go down to the Cattery to begin the Saturday afternoon proceedings. It's the Cats taking on the Dockers at GMHBA Stadium, Alphabet Stadium, whatever you want to call it. The Cattery, it's got so many names, it doesn't even matter at this point. Yeah, Geelong, they had a decent preseason. They beat the Hawkers, then they lost to the Bombers in their official preseason game. The Dockers, they beat the D's, and they also had that game against the Indigenous All-Stars as well. So, both teams are revved up, ready to go for this season. A few injuries on both sides. I'd probably say more, bigger injuries on the Dockers side of things, but I still feel like it could be a close game. The Dockers, they have a history of going down to Geelong and picking up surprise results, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Dockers were to win, but I feel like round one at the Cattery, big crowd in front of their Cats fans, the Cats will get the job done over the Dockers. I do think it will be a very good, exciting game of footy. The Dockers, they've obviously got a lot to prove this season, and a few people have them making it towards finals, so this would be a good start if they could beat the Cats down at the Cattery, but I don't think it's going to happen in round number one here. I think the Cats, in front of their home fans, will get the job done. Next up, we move on to a twilight game. I don't know how this is a twilight game, but it is. We've got the Swans taking on the Lions at the SCG. The Swans, they're coming off their opening round loss against the Hawks. The Lions, they're coming off some preseason games. The Swans, they looked 50-50. Obviously, they had Goulden come off in that game against the Hawks, and that's a big loss for them. The Lions, they're looking good coming into this season. Yes, they lost to the Crows in a preseason game in Queensland, but I don't think that's going to matter that much to them. I think this is going to be a very, very good game of footy. I feel like these two always match up well against each other, but I think in the end, I think the Lions are going to get the job done in this one. Yes, the Swans did challenge the Hawks, but they didn't get the job done, and I feel like towards the end of that game against the Hawks, they were a bit lackluster, not overly lackluster, but a bit lackluster, and I feel like the Lions, coming off a flag, they want to, go back to back. They want to go back to back. That's their mission this season, obviously. And it would be a good start if they could beat the Swans at the SCG. They've done it before previously, and I think they're going to do it again. I'm going the Lions over the Swans at the SCG. Next up, we move on to the Saturday night games, both in Victoria. We kick it off with the Dogs taking on North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. Should be an okay game, and I say that because the Dogs, they've got a few injuries to some of their star players. Treloar, Jones, Bontempelli, list goes on from there. No Waitman in the side either. And North Melbourne, they've had a decent preseason. I don't think they've lost too many of their star players. They've lost a few players here and there, but yeah, it should be a decent game. I really wanted to go North Melbourne just because of the injuries to the Dogs, but I feel like the Dogs will still be good enough in this game to beat North Melbourne. They've got a few good backup players, which they'll bring into their side, and I think we'll be able to, do well against a side like North Melbourne. I feel like North Melbourne will put up a real good, ferocious challenge. They've got some new players in their squad, Parker, Daniel, Darling as well. And, they've got some star players in there, Sheasel, Uniac, etc., Larkey. So it'll be a good game. It'll be a good contest. It'll really matter, who's going to do the best from the centre of the ground. If North Melbourne can get a lot of forward 50 entries, I could see them winning this game. But I feel like the Dogs, they've still got some pretty good midfielders. Yes, they don't have Treloar Bont, but they've still got some good midfielders in there that can get the Dogs winning this game. So I'm still going to go the Dogs over North Melbourne in this one, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if North Melbourne came out with a surprise win over the Dogs. Then we go on to the last Saturday game, and it is My Pies taking on Port Adelaide at the MCG on a Saturday night. Thank you very much. Not a Saturday afternoon against Port Adelaide. This is strange and confusing to me. But yeah, hopefully should be a decent contest, considering that My Pies don't play like they did against the Giants. That was utterly woeful to watch. We looked slow, methodical. We didn't really look like we wanted to be there. There was a few cramps, injuries, etc., etc. What can you do? You can't really make excuses. The Giants, they absolutely ran over the top of us in that game. That is scary coming into this season, because we did look slow. We did look a bit old. We did look methodical, but it's only round 0. We'll have to see how we go the rest of the season. Now, we're playing the Power at the MCG, and I do think we're going to win this game over the Power. We haven't lost to the Power at the G in a little bit. There was that period where the Power did beat beat us at the G here and there, but I don't think it's going to happen here. I think we're going to bounce back from that embarrassing performance against the Giants in the opening round and get the win here. I wouldn't be shocked if the Power, gave us sight, maybe won the game, considering how we did go in opening round, but I think we're just going to, get on the board here at our home, in front of our home fans, and yeah, I hope to God that we win this game over the Power. Alright, now we move on to the Sunday block, or whatever you want to call it. We kick it off with Adelaide taking on the St Kilda Footy Club at the Adelaide Oval, of course. What a beautiful footy ground it is. Footy's back at the Adelaide Oval. How good is that? Adelaide versus St Kilda. Should be a decent game. I feel like these two match up against each other pretty well. I've seen a few close games between these two. Do I think this one is going to be close? Potentially, maybe. I feel like these two teams are really just like mid-table teams going at it, so I feel like this could go this could either be a really good contested game of footy, or this could be a blowout to either side. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I do think the Adelaide Crows are going to get the job done in this one. I'm excited to see how Adelaide go fully anyway in this season, and same for the Saints. We just don't know where these teams are going to go or how they're going to play this season, what style of footy they're going to bring out, but I feel like Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval will be a little bit too good for the Saints, so I'm going the Crows over the Saints in this one. Then we move on to the Sunday Arvo game. We've got Melbourne taking on the Giants at the MCG. The Giants, well, they're coming off that emphatic win over my Pies by a margin of 52 points. So they were missing a few good players. They were missing Tom Green, Hogan, Briggs got injured in like the first half. I don't know, who's going to be back. Is Green going to be back? I don't think Green's going to be back. I don't know if Hogan's going to be back. I don't know what the injury front is looking like for the Giants, basically. But I still feel like they're going to beat the D's in this one. I do think it's going to be relatively close for the majority of the game, but I can see the Giants kicking away at the end. They were terrific last week. Callahan, what a gun he is. So yeah, I think the Giants will get the win here over the D's. I want the D's to show me something though. I want them to be aggressive, to really play a good fast style of footy like we've seen them play before. I want them to show me something to say, hey, we're here to play this season. We're here to be competitive. We're here to be maybe a top 8 side, because last season, I don't know for the whole season, but for parts of the season, majority of the season, the D's, they just looked a little bit lackluster, and yes, there was a bit of outside noise towards the D's, but I want to see a different D's outfit this season. So let's see how they go in this game against the Giants, but I still think the Giants are going to win. And last game of the round, we go to the Battle of the Coasts, and the Battle of the Coast has a new logo in it. It's the Gold Coast one. I still don't know what to make about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Maybe it's just kind of mid. I don't know. It's West Coast taking on the Gold Coast Suns at Optus Stadium. A few injuries have come about for the Suns this fine Wednesday, which makes this game a little bit more intriguing. But do I? No, yeah, I still feel like the Suns are going to win. I think it's going to be very competitive now because of the injuries that have occurred towards the Gold Coast Suns. I know Flanders isn't playing, Mac Andrew isn't playing, so it could be a little bit of an interesting game. Could be a close one. Could maybe the Eagles come out and absolutely pants the Suns? Potentially, but I think the Suns, if they want to prove that they're going to be a good, competitive, potentially top 8 side this season, they're going to have to show me in this game. So I'm going to back the Suns into win, and hopefully they get the job done. But if they don't, I don't know what I'm going to say about the Suns, but they need to get an away win. If they can start the season off with an away win, that's going to be massive for their confidence. Yes, it's against the Eagles, and yes, they have beaten the Eagles away before. But to start the season, to start it with an away win, boy, that would go a long way for the Suns. So I'm going to back them in to get the job done in this one. Alright guys, that is the round 1 tips done and dusted. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to do tips videos like this where I'm just holding the microphone and yabbering for a lot, leave a like and a comment below. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you for the matchday vlog on Sunday between the Pies and Port Adelaide. Cheers!